Today, we're continuing our series on money mindset, success mindset, as well as success, abundance, and money blocks. And in our last episode, we dove into what is a money block. I really encourage you to go back there and listen to it. millionaireseries.com/194, and we'll link to it in our show notes. But one of the most important things you've got to do if you want to achieve your results is you've got to get rid of any type of block you have that's keeping you from your results. It may be blocks from overspending or not spending enough, not investing, not finding the time to do what you need to do, beliefs around money. There's so many things. So today we're diving into the top money blocks. Now I'm going to separate these out from success and money, even though some of them overlap. Because let's face it, if you have a block, meaning you're not achieving a desired result in your business, your life, or your money, most of them still stem from the same underlying issue, a belief about something that is not serving you. And what's fascinating is that there's so little done in the psychology of money, where that, in my opinion, is where the major breakthroughs are. And what I want you to do as we go through this is I want you to just take note of them. Any ones that resonate with you, or you're like, oh, I've said that, or oh, I kind of believe that. Don't judge yourself, just write them down. And then what I want you to do at the end is I want you to come back around and prioritize them. Now, in the last episode, we had an exercise I wanted you to do from a sample of ones I gave you. So if you haven't done that, again, I encourage you to go and listen to 194, because then you're going to at least better understand what a money block is. So hi and welcome. I'm Annette Ba'u, host of the Millionaire Insider. For over 30 years, I've been advising and researching the top 1% and 2% of millionaires to learn what millionaires with amazing lives do differently. And now I'm providing you practical, easy to implement insights so you can create a financially free life you love. As I like to say, a richer and more fulfilled life. And today we're diving into top money blocks. So if you're not achieving your goals, meaning you continue to have challenges, or you notice that some areas of your life are working or not, it's caused often by a block. Hopefully you have a journal and just label it money mindset. But what I find a lot of times is that some of our blocks are completely unconscious, meaning we don't even really know we have them. And I'll use an example of like money is dirty. I mean, I knew from the time I was very little that you don't touch money, it's dirty. Thank the Lord above, I met some different millionaires in my hometown. I grew up in a small town in the Midwest, and I was so fascinated by their lives because they got to travel. And it's so ironic. I didn't get on an airplane until I was 18, but I would listen to them and their stories of traveling, and I just wanted to have money so I could travel. And then I realized I could be a flight attendant. Wow, imagine that. I could fly for free. Well, what I realized really quickly is they don't make a lot of money, and I really don't like flying, so it was a problem. But it was fascinating that I went down that path to really seeing millionaires and going, gosh, people with money have amazing lives. A lot of people went down a path of saying, oh, they've got money, they are stingy, they are thieves, they are dishonest, whatever the scenario may be. So the best news of all is that we can all change it. I think somewhat there was an undercurrent, at least at some parts of my family, about people with money. And I think it's so funny because I think money is great as long as you understand it's a byproduct to an amazing life. It was never meant to be the end-all be-all. So you just got to be aware of those so you don't fall into that trap. So let's dive into some of the most common money blocks. So all materials and intellectual property are copywritten by millionaireseries.com. The information we provide is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide you any investment, financial, tax, retirement, any planning or healthcare advice. All participants agree to hold millionaireseries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved, and any reproduction of this material is allowed only with written authorization from millionaireseries.com. So please click subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified of future episodes. Please remember to share in the comments what you identified as your biggest money blocks. I would love to see what different people share, and more importantly, what you're seeing showing up once you identify it. And once you follow the process I'm going to share with you in releasing them, how different it changes, meaning how it goes. And all of a sudden now you're like, I'm attracting money. I'll just tell you a few funny stories. I took this class and it was like $3,500, and I was teaching a class and I said, okay, I'm going to use some of the things I teach you guys and I'm going to just do it on something simple. I'm going to manifest at least enough money to pay for this class, $3,500. I kid you not. In the mail, 2 days later, we got a $3,700 check for some company that we're invested in. I don't even know what the situation was. It was weird because normally it just goes into our account, but they had some type of settlement, $3,700. I'm like, yes, kid you not. 2 weeks later, I got another one for almost the same amount. It's amazing what happens just by putting things out there. I didn't doubt for 1 minute that I would get it. But see, most people start second them guess. Oh, I'd love it if I could get money. Oh, wouldn't it be great if I could get something where it would pay me back? But they don't understand that you've got to really be comfortable and really know it's going to happen for it to happen. For today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/195. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. Now, if you want to master your money mindset or your success mindset, I really encourage you to download our money mindset guide. You can go to millionaireseries.com/SMMG for the Success Money Mindset Guide. What you're going to learn in this guide is really the big picture of money mindset. And that, combined with what we're doing in these trainings, is going to really help you to get a handle on where you have blocks that you might not even be aware of, what you can do to release them, and more importantly, what you can do to create an abundance mindset, as well as getting rid of a poverty mindset or a poverty consciousness. As I mentioned, if you go to millionaireseries.com/194, you can learn what is a money block or a success block, and I really encourage you to go through that because it'll help you really get clear. So what I had you do from the list that I gave you is write down the blocks that were affecting you. And I gave a brief list. So here's an example of the list. Success or wealthy people aren't happy or honest or ethical. I'm not good with numbers. Or my favorite one, I don't do money. Like, okay, who doesn't do money? Like, that is the most fascinating one, and I hear it a lot from women. I'm not smart enough, right? What I will just say is this. I know a lot of very successful people, and I know a lot of very wealthy people, and what I would say is that the vast majority of people who have money and are really successful from a financial standpoint, and then even those who are successful, meaning they're wealthy and they have an amazing life, what I find is that they're not always the smartest. They're more focused on the relationship than being right. They're more focused on really understanding, connecting the dots than they are just about getting an A in some class. So if that's you, I encourage you to just keep doing the work. If you happen to be a really smart person, then that's great. I'm glad you're tuning in. What you got to do is you got to get out of your own way. You've got to get out of that analytical, overanalyzing everything, because it's going to keep you stuck. So again, just be aware of that. Another real interesting one is I don't deserve whatever it is. I don't deserve success. I don't deserve money. Or sometimes people, even they tie it to their faith, like they have this belief that you have to be poor or broke to be spiritual. It's like, I can tell you, guarantee, that if that is a belief you have, you're probably going to be broke. So there's nothing fun about being broke. There's nothing fun about living in a state where you don't have enough money. So just be aware that if you live in a civilized country like we do, where the barter of exchange is dinero, you need to know how to get it, and you need to remove things that are keeping you from it. I don't have time to deal with that money stuff. I kid you not. I have heard so many women say, that's my husband's thing. And I'm like, oh, so you're going to predecease your husband? Well, what do you mean? I go, well, what happens when he's not here? Dead silence. Oh my God, don't let that be you. That one is so scary, because what ends up happening when you're in that kind of blind trust state, never does it turn out how you think it will or you want it to. But even more importantly is what ends up happening is 9 times out of 10, those women then give their assets to someone else, and they have the same blind trust they have, hoping they're taking care of them like their husband. Unfortunately, it doesn't always turn out that way. And that's how people who have 85 million end up going broke, is because they don't realize somebody, their CPA of 20 years has been stealing money from them since the husband died. Don't let that be you. I'm not good with math or numbers. You know, math is so simple. If you can do 1 + 1 = 2, you can do math. It's not like you have to do some really hard trigonometry or geometry or something along those lines. We're talking simple math. Or money's dirty. I grew up with one, money's dirty. I mean, it really is, right? Think of all the people who have touched it, all the germs on it. I mean, what a horrible belief to tell somebody, oh, you don't want to touch money. You don't want to have money because it's dirty. A lot of those things that you don't even think about, or you think, like, if you really analyzed it, the amount of people that touch money, it probably does have a lot of germs on it, right? So then we just go down this spiral. Money's evil or not spiritual. Money is energy, and so is spirituality. So somebody could say, oh my gosh, you can't be both. It's like you can't not be both. So if you really truly are spiritual, you're going to have money, or vice versa. So don't get caught up on some of these crazy beliefs that we all have that are keeping you stuck. What I want you to understand in all of this is the fact that as a traditional financial planner, meaning a certified financial planner where I have been trained in traditional financial planning, one of the things that's broken in our industry is that we don't have a lot of psychology. Now, I have an emphasis in psychology and I have a degree in finance. Now, I will say this, having spent literally 30 plus years advising some of the wealthiest people in the world, I will say that clearly having a degree in finance has helped me. But what's really helped me is my knowledge of psychology, my knowledge of determining how the brain works, of really understanding how the brain works and understanding how we show up. Because this is what happens. You go to a financial advisor and they say, you're spending too much money. If you continue on this spending path, you're going to be broke in retirement. And now you go through this anxiety of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a bag lady. I've got all these bills I got to pay. I don't know what to do. And it's kind of like a downward spiral, right? But see, this is the problem. You realize you need to do it. You know you need to do it. You feel horrible inside. You have fear, anxiety, worry, but yet you continue to spend. See, nothing any person can tell you from a perspective of what you need to do or even how you need to do it is going to help you until you learn the psychology of why you're doing it. Once you understand the psychology of why you're doing it, then you're in a position to go, oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. And then you can apply things like the 3-day rule. I'll link to the 3-day rule also in the show notes. But those are great things you can do. You can start doing focused breathing so that you start quieting that limbic brain down. All of those things are awesome for you to incorporate into your daily practice so that you are coming from a calm place, and then when the situation arises, meaning you find that to die for purse or those to die for boots, you're able to be in a space where you don't feel compelled that you have to buy it or buy it right then. You can apply the 3-day rule, and most people don't ever buy something when they apply the 3-day rule. But those are the things I want you to get clear on. Maybe you need to invest more. Maybe you need to stop worrying so much about your money. Interestingly enough, I find people who are really panicked about the market and watch it all the time do worse as far as performance than people who take the time to get really clear on their goals and objectives, their time horizon, and then they invest accordingly, and they're not micromanaging it. Yes, they're monitoring it, but it's not like something where they're so obsessed with it, they can't go a day without looking at it. And interesting enough, most of those people are women. Now, I'm not saying it's all women, but a lot of women, studies have proven that they are just better investors from a perspective of staying calm, cool, and collected and focused on their big picture goal. Now, most women I find are a little more conservative, so they don't take as many risks. But there are things that we can learn just from looking at people who don't panic when something happens, or people who know how to react, whether it's panicking because the market's going up or down, or whether it's overspending because you see something that you love and you just have to have. So you're going to learn literally some of the money blocks that you may not even know you have. And I'm going to give you an example, like gossiping. Who would think gossiping would affect your money? But see, interestingly enough, the ultimate goal we want you to get is to live above the grid. As you know, the worth barometer, your belief in your self-esteem, below the grid, fear, anxiety, worry, I'm right, you're wrong, lacking personal ownership and responsibility. They're either a victim or a bully. Whereas above the grid is more focused on higher energy vibration, love, peace, understanding, joy, win-win, taking ownership and personal responsibility. And the ultimate goal in all of this is just to reside above the grid. Because what you want to do is you want to have money and a fulfilled life. The problem is that there are so many people who have money and have miserable lives. And that's what's led me to a lot of this psychology. So it's not saying that you can't have a bunch of money and still have major blocks. You have major blocks when you have a bunch of money and you have a miserable life, right? You have a bunch of money, but you have a ton of health problems. The list goes on and on. What I want you to do now is I want you to identify any of the blocks, whether it's money blocks or success blocks, that you can identify with. Maybe you gossip. So gossip below the grid, what we want to do is get you to where you're above the grid. Because when you're above the grid, you're attracting what you want. And so much of money mindset is getting at the vibration, getting at the radio station that you're attracting what you want. You know, I use the analogy, if you want to listen to soft rock on 99.9, but you're tuned in to hard rock on 98.7, you got a problem. You got to change the radio station. You got to change the frequency. It's the same thing on what you're attracting in your life. If you're attracting everything you want in your life, well, good, keep doing it. If you're not, what you got to look at is where can you change the radio station? Where can you increase the vibration so you're above the grid, you're attracting what you want, and then you've got the money you want, you're attracting not only the money, the relationships, the business you have, if you have one, everything. That's where I want you to get. So excessive worrying. There are so many situations with this, but what I want you to do is the first thing when it comes to worrying is you got to learn how to control your limbic brain. So I'll link to Program Your Mind in the show notes, but in that training and in that download, we actually have a download, you can download it. You really learn what are the different ways in which to program your mind. And one of the best ways to program your mind is to affirm what you want. I am fulfilled. I live worry-free. And you want to be affirming that right before you go to bed and then right when you wake up. That's how you get into your subconscious mind. But excessive worrying is just an example of a success block. Fighting over money, oh, that's a big one, right? That's what most people do. And the issue is when you don't have enough, it's easy to fight over money. Once you have enough, it just kind of goes away, right? One less problem. And then obsessive or compulsively thinking about money or success or your kids or the world or the president, whatever it may be. So anytime you have something like that, clearly it's good to be aware, it's good to vote, it's good to know what's going on. But obsessive compulsive behaviors also cause and stem from a block. But I never succeed, I'm just a loser. Oh, that's the worst. I've heard that one several times. Success or wealth people aren't happy or honest or ethical. I'm not good with numbers or I don't do money. I'm not smart enough. My partner handles the money. I don't deserve to be wealthy or rich. I don't want to deal with money. I'm always broke or I never have enough money. I can never afford what I want. Money won't bring me happiness. Neither will poverty, so let's get over that one. I never have success with money, with relationships. Oh, haven't you heard that 100 times? I'm like, well, yeah, if you keep affirming that, you won't. One of the best affirmative statements for relationships, I'm open to a loving and supportive relationship. In my book, The 7 Principles, I was sitting at a table at our church and the woman across from me said, I met my dream man and I had gotten out of a bad relationship, and for 5 years I affirmed, I'm open to a loving and supportive relationship. And she said, now I've been married for, several years and I'm so happy. And I had just gotten out of a really not great relationship. And so I started doing that same affirmation, met my dear husband. I wrote my book, The 7 Principles, and I gave that example in there. I kid you not, I ran into her 17 years after I'd first met her. And I said, oh my gosh, I wanted to give you credit for that affirmative statement because it worked for me too. It has worked for several people. I'm open to a loving and supportive relationship. What a great affirmative statement and a way to remove blocks of like, all women are jerks, all men are jerks, whatever the scenario you have that's keeping you from what you want. I don't have time to deal with money stuff. I'm not good with math or numbers. Money's dirty, evil, or not spiritual. I don't attract good things in my life. Us versus them. If you ever find yourself saying, I'm right, you're wrong, it's a problem. What you want to do is you want to find out how that person, why they believe the way they do. What do they believe? Most of us are so much closer aligned than you realize. Now, granted, there's the fringes that are like scare all of us, that are just crazy. I'm talking about most people. Most people either have beliefs slightly this way or beliefs slightly that way, but they're reasonable, so they're sane, and they're interested in learning. It's when somebody has no ability to open up and learn about what's going on out there. And what happens is it keeps them from achieving their desired revenue, their desired relationships, everything. It hurts their business, everything. So don't let that be you. The scarcity mindset or a poverty consciousness where you think there's not enough to go around. Now, we're going to dive deeper into that in another section, but that's one that's really important. Some of the other common ones are, I can never afford that, or I have to be rich to afford that. Those are common ones. I'll never pay off all this debt. I can never get myself out of this financial situation. Instead, what I want you to do is, I am abundant. I choose where to spend my money. I am or I act a verb. If you see somebody telling you to do like I can or I will or I'm going to, that's not ideal. Talking to yourself positively, loving yourself. We talked about self-love. Really saying I'm enough. We're all a little kooky in some way or another, right? And what we got to do is just accept ourselves how we are. Another one that's common is where we don't write out our goals right. So I am or I act a verb, and or general ones like, I'm going to achieve success. Well, what does that mean? I what? What do you do? I am an amazing mother. I am a millionaire. I accumulate $5 million in net worth. I am or I act a verb, absolutely huge. Forgiveness. One of the most top money blocks is forgiveness. And I want you to practice the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. That is an amazing forgiveness prayer. But whenever someone that has wronged you, or even yourself, if you need to forgive anyone, just think of them, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. It'll do wonders for you. But forgiveness is so important. And so many people don't realize that that is a complete success block. So another thing I see is where a person's made a mistake. So let's say, for instance, you've had a failed business. 10 years later, they're still rehashing that, right? Like, well, I tried business once and I failed, so therefore I'm always going to be a failure. Most people that have succeeded, look at Thomas Edison. 5,000 attempts before he invented electricity? My friends, this is not a race to see who can get to the end result. In fact, one thing I will tell you, having gotten there, is that the journey is a lot more fun than the destination. The destination, if you're doing things right, it's kind of like, oh, okay, great, now what? Right? I mean, what am I going to do now to give back? What am I going to do to really impact other people? But when we make a mistake and then we beat ourselves up for years, that's a problem. And a lot of us, I'm really good at that. That's just such a block, and it just keeps us stuck. So don't let that be you. One of the ones I see is like not paying attention to your finances. And then by the time that you start paying attention to them, like in your late 50s, 60s, 70s, it's really late. Don't let that be you. You need to be paying attention to your finances as early as possible. And even if you haven't done that, you need to be teaching your children. You need to be teaching younger people. It's so important that we really know what's going on and we're paying attention to those details. Another common one is like trying to show you have money. Now, before I had money, I was a lot more concerned about like how I looked, what I wore, what I drove. And I see it, like you go to certain areas in Phoenix and you can see it so much, like where people really don't have money, but they look like they have money. And it's just not ideal. I'd rather have a paid for house than live in this huge house and I can't even afford to pay the bills. It's just fascinating how people get so caught up on that, but don't let that be you. Do not be focusing in on trying to look like you have money. Focus in on accumulating money. I would so much more rather have money in the bank than be out spending money. Some people are they're all constantly buying things. And if you look at them on the outside, they look like, oh my God, they got so much money. But no, most of them have a lot of debt and they don't have any money in the bank. So if that cash cow ever stops, they've got a problem. Another one is a belief you don't deserve money. Having negative energy around money, not paying attention. That is something we can all do better. Being mindful and conscious, really being clear. Like, I'll give you an example. Like when you go grocery shopping, I don't do a lot of grocery shopping in my family. I go every few weeks to my natural grocery store. And oh my gosh, I'm the worst. I just buy everything. My husband is so much better at that. So he does the grocery shopping, partly because I don't like to and he really likes to. Like, who would like grocery shopping? I can't really understand that. But anyway, my point being is that I remember one time going to the grocery store and I had cash, $200. I mean, if somebody asked me like how much a tomato is, I would have no idea. And what's fascinating is I was so stressed out when I got to the counter. The woman was like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm doing an experiment. I only have $200. She's like, oh, and I was like 198, like 75. I was like, I'm weighing everything, paying attention to everything. But you got to do things that keep you in track financially, especially if you are on a budget and you're still trying to accumulate the money you want. And no one, not even if you already have as much money as you want or need, Should you be overspending? We've got to make good sense with what we're doing. And so we can all work on that. And by being clear on that and by having a plan around that, it's going to also help you so that you don't just go buy things that you don't need. For example, somebody's like, oh, we're just going to go shopping. Well, what are you shopping for? Oh, we're just going to go looking. I'm like, oh my God, that is a financial disaster. When you go to a store, you go to a store for a specific reason. You don't just go to a store. Hanging around people who also share your beliefs, meaning people who are going somewhere, not people who are spending, if you're around people that they just spend and they don't have any concept of it, not an ideal person to be associating with. You want to be around people who have similar goals and who also understand the value of saving money and investing money. And you see, what I find, it's really interesting when you start looking at like cliques or people that like groups that hang around together, you'll have one and it's like everything is about how they look, how much money they make, and how much money they spend. And then you look at other ones where it's much more about the relationship, it's much more about really what they're doing and contributing and accumulating. And you got to make sure that you're clear on where it is that you are. And if you apply these, you can't help but be a success. So again, go to millionaireseries.com/SMMG for the Success Money Mindset Guide. And there you're going to learn all about what is a success mindset, how to release blocks, what are some of the top blocks, and what you can do more importantly to create an abundance mentality so you can start attracting what you want. Great guide. Again, millionaireseries.com/SMMG. So for today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/195. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. So I want to thank you so much for joining me for Top Money Blocks. I'm Annette Ba'u, founder of millionaireseries.com. Our next episode is going to be on releasing money blocks. That's going to be a really good one. So we're going to really dive into, okay, now you've identified these, what can you do about it? So I'll look so forward to seeing you on that training. Bye for now.